Hey Divine Collective, blessings. Today's transmission is not soft, it is surgical because it's gonna address resentment, jealousy, doubt, repression, these spirits that cause a heavy burden on our own spirit, right? I hope you guys you're doing well. All right. Let's start with the transmission. Now the Most High gave me today's topic as the demolition of ego. And the main purpose of this transmission would be dissolving your primal ego in order for the Lord to carry out His work through you. It focuses on creating space and tells you how to protect your energy. Now, the Most High is speaking about demolition not of your personality, not of your individuality, but of the primal ego self that believes it is the doer, the controller, the center of the gravity. Now for this, we are anchoring into Gita, chapter 3, verses 17 to 43. This is where the teaching shifts from confusion to command. The Most High, as Krishna, is no longer comforting Arjuna. He is awakening him. The Most High is awakening you. The self that is content in the self. In verse 17, the Most High speaks to the soul, okay, who is a self-satisfied in the self, that being does not depend on outcomes, that being does not crave validation, that being is not bargaining with destiny. Understand this carefully. This is not passivity. This is sovereignty. When you are anchored in the higher self, you do not perform to be seen. You act because action is the nature of existence. Even the Most High, described as the Lord of the three worlds, remains in action. If the Supreme Intelligence does not retire from action, why are you attempting to escape yours? The cosmos itself is movement. Planets orbit, cells divide, seasons rotate. Stillness exists inside motion, not instead of it. Why the ego must fall? Now from verse 27 onward, the Most High drops a truth that shatters pride. All actions are performed by the modes of the material nature. The ego-deluded self thinks, I am the doer. That line alone is enough to dismantle lifetimes of illusion. Your body moves through biology. Your emotions arise through conditioning. Your impulses spark through patterns. The ego steps in afterward and says, yes, I did that. The ego is not the engine, it is the narrator. And the narrator has been exaggerating its role too much. Now, the demolition of the primal ego self means this: you stop mistaking the instrument for the musician. You're not here to inflate identity, you are here to refine instrumentality, right? Now, protecting your energy through detachment. The Most High, as Krishna instructs Arjuna, that's his soul, to act without attachment to results. This is misunderstood often. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means your nervous system is not enslaved by the outcomes. When you act without attachment, your energy stops leaking into anxiety, because we want to protect the energy here, right? Your aura stops bleeding into comparison. Your mind stops rehearsing imaginary futures. You create space, and space is sacred, right? Space is where higher intelligence can operate through you. When ego dominates, there is noise. When ego dissolves, there is clarity. And clarity is protection, the highest protection, where the Lord can carry out His own work through you, because you become a very beautiful instrument then for the musician to play, right? Because when you are not acting from wounded pride, you cannot be manipulated by the unclean spirits of resentment, jealousy, doubt, and repression. I'm seeing the collective here. You have to release unnecessary burdens and forgive yourself and others. Through forgiveness, you will experience inner liberation and peace. And the jealousy arises. Reflect on the lessons it brings. It reminds you to focus on your own growth rather than comparing. Okay? Rather than comparing yourself to others. And doubt. Trust yourself. Trust yourself, as you have the wisdom and strength to overcome the challenges before you. And repression is complete void. It reminds you to release emotions and face your true self. Be your true self. Through expression, you will find inner freedom. When you are not acting from insecurity, you cannot be provoked, Divine Collective. When you are not acting from validation seeking, you cannot be drained. That is energetic armor. And the science of the senses here, verses 34 to 43. Now Krishna becomes very precise, the Most High. He explains that the senses are powerful. Desire arises from contact with sense objects. Desire turns into attachment. An attachment, when blocked, becomes anger. And anger clouds wisdom. Psychologically, this is brilliant. Your ego self is deeply entangled with sensory gratification. It wants to be praised, it wants to win, it wants to dominate narratives. It wants comfort and recognition. Krishna calls desire the eternal enemy. The Most High is telling you that not because pleasure is evil, but because unconscious desire enslaves you, okay, through these spirits. He gives a hierarchy. The senses are powerful. The mind is higher than the senses. The intellect is higher than the mind. And beyond intellect is the self. This is the strategy. You do not fight ego with more ego. You regulate the senses, you discipline the mind, and you sharpen the intellect, and you surrender to the self. Right? This is the gateway, this is the method, this is the steps, whatever you say, whatever you call this. Now, the Most High in action, He is saying something very radical here, even though He has nothing to gain. Even He is the ruler of the three worlds. He has nothing to achieve. He continues to act. Why? Because if he did not, the world would collapse into disorder. That is leadership, right? He is the true inspiration. So you can take inspiration from this, his word, into modern living. If you are in a leadership position, if you are stepping into a leadership role, who will guide your footsteps better than the Most High? So that is divine governance, right? The Most High is not insecure. He is not proving himself. He is sustaining harmony. The Two of Pentacles energy, right? So when the divine works through you, it is not for your egoic glorification, right? It's for alignment. It is for collective order. It is for dharma, the righteous flow. So you are being prepared not for applause, but for responsibility. And what demolition of ego feels like? Now, ego demolition does not feel glamorous at all. It feels like being misunderstood and staying grounded. Losing the urge to defend yourself. Watching your triggers dissolve. Choosing discipline over impulse. Letting go of who you thought you really were. It can feel like an identity death. Trust me, I have been there. Okay? But what is dying is not your power. And when distortion clears, the Lord can operate through you very cleanly. Think of it like clearing debris from a temple hall. Because your body is the ultimate temple for the Lord to work through. Think of it like the architecture was always sacred, but the clutter blocked the light of the Most High through you. So the higher intelligence channel would be when ego steps aside, you become intuitive without arrogance, decisive without aggression, detached without coldness, active without exhaustion. You stop trying to control every ripple. Instead, you act from clarity and allow outcomes to unfold. That is divine co-creation, okay? You're not passive clay. You're a conscious participator. But the participation must be ego light. Divine Collective, this chapter is not about abandoning life. It is about sanctifying your actions. The demolition of the primal ego self is not humiliation. It is liberation. It is peace. When the senses are mastered, when the mind is aligned, when the intellect is clear, when the self is seated on the throne, then the Lord works through you without obstruction. And your energy becomes protected not by walls, but by wisdom. The Most High is always in action, always. The question is, will you act from ego? Or will you become an instrument? The Most High do not ask you to withdraw from the battlefield. He asks you to purify the inner warrior. And that divine collective is a sacred work. All right? So sending you highest white light of the Most High and blessings to everybody. If you liked this transmission, let me know in the comments section how it resonated with you. And if you want to book any consultation, you can go to the links section or in the description. Until then, take care, bye-bye, divine rising, and ciao.
Oh, city lights.